Gold is one of the natural resources that Africa has in abundance. Several African countries, including Burkina Faso, Mali, and Ghana, have this mineral in abundance, and for Burkina Faso, gold is its major export product. However, despite the abundance of this resource, Burkina Faso has not been able to fully maximize and enjoy the benefits of having gold in abundance. Why? It's because gold, like other mineral resources in Africa, is being exploited by outsiders. So, who is behind this exploitation? Is it the West? Let's find out. It's not news that for centuries the African continent has been subjected to massive exploitation of both human and mineral resources. It's also not news that the West, particularly Europe, has been responsible for this exploitation for their own benefit, which has had undesirable effects on the African continent. However, it would surprise you to know that a recently carried out report revealed that it's not only the West that has and is still exploiting Africa. According to the report, the United Arab Emirates, UAE, is stealing billions of dollars from Africa by smuggling gold worth that amount every year. Detailed research has revealed that Africa is the world's largest producer of gold, with Ghana, South Africa, Mali, and Burkina Faso leading production as of 2022. The precious metal is also a source of income for millions of artisanal miners, as well as a source of revenue for many governments, especially those such as Burkina Faso, whose main export product is gold. However, according to the report, large amounts of gold are smuggled out of the continent, and Dubai has been singled out as the hub where the smuggled gold is sent to and traded. Did you know that in 2022 alone, 93% of illegal gold extracted and smuggled to the UAE originated from Africa? And the amount stands at 435 tons of gold, valued at approximately $35 billion. This means that about 40% of Africa's gold production and 12% of the global gold production is lost to the UAE. So, what does this tell you? Africa is surrounded on every side by exploiters. The rest of the world sees the continent as their backyard that is filled with treasures that they can have access to anytime and anyhow they like. African mineral resources are its treasures, and every country wants a piece of it. Sometimes, these countries will say they want to access these minerals legally. That's why they hold summits with Africa every now and then, where they can sign deals and agreements with the leaders of the African countries. However, another fact is that most of the time those deals and agreements are usually beneficial only to the foreign country. The deals grant them easy access to exploit African minerals, but the government gets little in return, plus environmental pollution and degradation. Now let's go back to the report, which by the way was published by a Swiss development NGO. The report says that the smuggling of gold is on the rise and that African gold has become very important for Dubai. According to data from Comtrade, the share of African gold in the UAE's reported hold imports increased from 18% to almost 50% between 2006 and 2016. Customs data also revealed that the UAE imported $15.1 billion worth of gold in 2016, a number that surpassed every other country in the world and significantly up from $1.3 billion in 2006. The total weight was 446 tons, with varying degrees of purity compared to 67 tons in 2006. But do you know what's interesting and shocking? The majority of this gold was not recorded in the export statistics of African countries. This therefore means that large quantities of gold are leaving the African continent without any taxes being paid on them to the countries producing the gold. So, evidently, African gold-producing countries have been missing out on taxes amounting to billions of dollars over the last decade. Data provided by governments to Comtrade revealed that for several years, the UAE has been the prime destination for gold for many African countries. While China, the world's biggest gold consumer, was the largest importer of gold from Africa in 2015, the UAE, however, doubled that amount in 2016. Now, in the same year, the UAE reported gold imports from 46 African countries. However, 25 of the 46 countries did not provide Comtrade with data on their good exports to the UAE. Despite this, the UAE reported importing a total of $7.4 billion worth of gold from these countries. But that's not all. The UAE also reported importing gold worth $3.9 billion, which is approximately 67 tons from the remaining 21 countries, which is more than the reported exporting of these countries. Now, most of the gold smuggled to the UAE ends up in Dubai, which serves as a gateway to markets in Europe, the United States, and beyond. The gold is mostly mined by small-scale miners in countries and exported through African countries that are not major gold producers. One such country is Togo, which gets its supply from Burkina Faso, the fourth largest producer of gold in Africa. The purpose of this is to ensure that no taxes will be imposed on the gold. This situation, as described by one economist, is a classic case of export under-invoicing aimed at reducing taxes. According to the Swiss report, this illicit trade amounts to between $23.7 billion and $35 billion annually. The scale of the flow underscores how small-scale, or artisanal, mining has mushroomed into an industry involving millions of people producing volumes of gold on a par with, or even bigger than, industrial mining. Aside from the loss in tax revenues, experts and governments have warned that smuggling on this scale indicates a vast parallel illicit economy vulnerable to potential money laundering, terrorist finance, and sanctions evasion. If you can recall, this is a major reason why President Traore of Burkina Faso suspended gold exports from the country and decided to build the gold refinery in Burkina Faso. Mark Ummel, the commodities lead at Swiss Aid and one of the authors of the report, said the UAE contributes to gold laundering because large quantities of smuggled gold acquire a legal existence by transiting through the UAE. If we keep on seeing more than 400 tons of illegal gold entering the UAE every year, this is a clear sign that the implementation of the regulations in the UAE is seriously lacking, he said. The Swiss report further revealed that 12 countries in Africa were majorly involved in smuggling 20 tons or more of gold per year. The majority of this comes from Mali, Ghana, and Zimbabwe. And from there, it is funneled to Dubai through refineries in countries like Uganda and Rwanda. In addition to the refineries in Uganda and Rwanda, the smuggled gold is also transported by private jet or even in hand luggage, often accompanied by false papers. When it gets to Dubai, the gold is refined in one of its several refineries and then traded by Dubai's 7,000 traders. Before we end this report, we have to talk about one important aspect of this issue. How is gold smuggled out of African countries every year successfully? It's simply through artisanal mining. Since 2009, the price of gold has more than doubled, and this has led a lot of people in gold-producing countries in Africa to turn to artisanal mining, which is mining gold on a small scale or through informal methods. It's a very common source of income for millions of Africans and has enabled many to earn money that can give them a comfortable life. According to estimates from the Swiss report, artisanal gold mining produced between 443 and 596 tons of gold in 2022. The UAE has since taken advantage of this system to smuggle gold illegally out of these countries on a vast scale. The shocking thing is that the gold is sometimes smuggled by terrorist and armed groups who use the sale of the gold to finance their criminal operations. It wouldn't be too far to say that the USE might even be responsible for creating the armed groups and jihadists terrorizing African countries, such as the DRC, Mali, and Burkina Faso, because they want to have access to gold mining sites. In 2019, during a mining conference, the president of Ghana, Akufo-Addo, noted that artisan mining began as a small-time venture. However, it has evolved to large-scale and dangerous operations that are run and controlled by foreign-controlled crime syndicates. There is no doubt that it is not everyone who conducts illegal trade in the black market of African gold. There are those who mine legally and sell their product to middlemen, who in turn sell it to whoever wishes to buy. However, the fact is that this process helps to obscure the main source of the couriers before the gold is transported out of the continent. Take the DRC, for instance, which is a major gold-producing country in Africa. However, its official reports are only a fraction of its estimated production. Every year it's reported that the DRC loses $1 billion in gold trafficking, and the gold passes through Rwanda and Uganda before it reaches Dubai. This is confirmed by the fact that Rwanda doesn't have substantial gold mining operations. However, it reported $542 million in gold exports to the UAE in 2022. Now, after the Swiss report was published, where it accused the UAE that it was not doing enough to enforce regulations on the sector, a UAE Ministry of Economy spokesperson said the UAE cannot be held accountable for other governments' export records. The question now is what can be done to change this situation? Should every gold-producing country follow the footsteps of President Traore in suspending gold exports and building a gold refinery so that instead of exporting raw gold, they can export the finished product? The answer to that is yes. In his wisdom, President Traore understands how gold has been smuggled out of his country, thereby leading to the country not benefiting fully from it. This is why he decided to ban the export of gold from Burkina Faso for now. However, not only did he ban the export of gold, he also suspended the issuance of export permits to artisanal and semi-mechanized gold and other precious commodities production effective immediately. In simple terms, no gold mined in Burkina Faso would leave the country. According to Traore, this action is necessary so that the mining sector as well as the marketing of gold can be cleaned up and better organized. The construction of the gold refinery, which will be in operation before this year ends, is another brilliant step taken by Traore to halt the smuggling of gold from Burkina Faso. Once the refinery is in operation, Burkina Faso will no longer export raw gold whose price is affected by the global market, but will now export finished product or refined gold, thereby bringing in additional value and revenue to the Burkinabe economy. If every African country follows Traore's footstep, the issue of gold theft and smuggling to the UAE will drastically reduce. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.